Good day, everyone. I know people have joined from all around the world, so it could be good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to this webinar. We're going to talk about opportunities in the HSEQ function, and we'll focus on ship management and ship recycling in this particular webinar. And We've got our presenters. We've got Sandeep, we've got Captain Amandeep, we've got Captain Vineet, who would take some questions. It will be a panel discussion, and they will educate us more about the opportunities and how do a person enters into this. But before we start, let me share a poll, and we'll have similar polls during the course of the webinar. So the first one is, can you see the presentation? So it'll be an HSEQ in maritime shipbuilding written on the presentation. So can you see that? And where did you hear about this webinar from? Not this course, but where this webinar from? So it's just to understand, where are most of the people coming in for the webinar. So we'll keep on having such questions during the course of the webinar, just to engage with you, just to understand how's it going. Maybe, if there are any disconnects, maybe we will try and resolve them. So the options from where did you hear about this webinar are from LinkedIn, WhatsApp, email, friend. I think it's mostly either LinkedIn or email, with WhatsApp being a close third. I see a few people have also shared it to their friends, and that's the other way where people are getting to know about the webinar. I see about 90% of you who have voted. That's a good percentage. I'll suggest even more if you could vote, that'd be even better. All right. Thank you for your response. I see most of us have heard about this webinar from LinkedIn, followed by email, followed by WhatsApp, and followed by references from friends. So thank you for that. Uh, so to those who joined in a little late, I'm Captain Gaurav Rana. I run C and Beyond. We've been doing such webinars for the past 11 years. We've got Captain Amandeep, we've got Sandeep, we've got Captain Vineet, who would be the panelist, and we've got Smita and Gautam, who would help in the coordination part. They are from C and Beyond. And as we move forward, why are we doing this webinar? Um, the idea is that whenever we hear about a certain field, there are questions which we have, and some of these questions are not answered. So what we want to do is we want to build an awareness among the maritime professionals about certain topics, so that and this information, awareness is from directly from the people who have been experts in that particular field. So you get information directly from the very, very senior people within the industry. What do you do with this information? You evaluate the relevance of this information for you, and ultimately what it helps you is to take a well-informed decision. So idea from this webinar is for you to get educated so that you can take well-informed decision at the end of the day. What some of the webinar guidelines that we have? If you have a question, all likelihood that question might be answered in the next set of questions which we ask. But nevertheless, if you have a question and you don't want to keep it to yourself, put it in the chat window. We will take the question and answers at the end of the panel discussion. Rename yourself as I had requested, in case you are coming in with the name of your device or the name of your relative, then probably it just helps to rename yourself. We'll be better able to identify. You can submit questions anytime, but we'll communicate through the chat window. Uh, Speaking rights are reserved for the host and the presenter. Slide, there will not be much slide over here, but information, the video recording will be shared with all of you who have registered for this webinar. We will share the recording, and we may or may not be able to take all the questions. So if a question goes very specific, we might request the panelists to answer it separately at a later stage. But if we are not able to take specific questions, please don't mind. Stay mindful, because we've got about 70 odd people, and we need to cater to everyone's questions. So we don't want to just elongate the webinar as such. As I'd already talked about, our mission and vision, C and Beyond's mission, is to help people from the maritime industry take a well-informed decision. And we want to be a one-stop solution wherein we are able to help you with most of your needs, from a career guidance to a certification to learning and development to opportunities to any kind of assistance that a maritime professional needs. That brings me to why we are here, and it gives me a lot of it's a privilege for us at C and Beyond to have our presenters over here in this webinar. It will be a panel discussion with all the presenters. So introducing Captain Amandeep, but while I take an introduction from all the presenters, let me also have a poll from for all of you to answer. So while I introduce the panelists, there's a poll for your introduction. What is your rank? Have you been sailing? At what level? If you're ashore or you've never went to sea. While you answer this poll, let me introduce the panelists here. We've got Captain Amandeep Bhalla. Captain Amandeep is a master mariner. He's sailed on VLCCs, Aframax, mainly on oil tankers, and now is leading HSEQ of 45 plus vessels across tanker and bulk carriers. And I'm sure more vessels are coming in. 17 years plus at sea. He's moved ashore 11 years back, and he joined as a marine consultant, moved to become a marine superintendent, and then now currently he's a marine head in a ownership company. He's based in Mumbai. And that brings me to the next panelist. We've got Mr. Sandeep Guglani. Sandeep is a chief engineer, and we may not see many marine engineers within the HSEQ space, but and that's why it's especially good to have him. He sailed with the Anglo-Eastern from cadetship to chief engineer, and now for the last 5 years he's been working in the as a senior environment compliance auditor. Most of the quality stuff, EXI, SEMP, IMO, DCS. So he's basically involved in kind of implementing, reporting all of this. And he has all the certifications, most of the certifications related to HSEQ. So good to have you, Sandeep, in this webinar as well. And moving on, we've got Captain Vineet Shukla. Captain Vineet brings a very, a very holistic experience. He, of course, has sailed. He's been a master mariner. Then he's also worked in the quality space in a ship management. He was a DPA, CSO, internal auditor. And then following the ship management stint, he went on to the ship recycling stint. In the ship recycling stint or with Maersk, he worked as in the QHSE space. And for the last year or so, he's been supporting us at C and Beyond in terms of taking care of the training and development needs for maritime professionals. Total of about, I guess, about 11 years of shore experience as well. Thanks, Vineet, for coming here at this webinar. Um, I think we've introduced the panelist, and let me at this point of time also introduce um, uh, the participants over here, and I'm sharing the poll results with all of you. We've got about 42% people who are sailing at a top four level, then followed with 24% who have never went to sea and who are interested in the QHSE side of things. Then followed by people who are sailing at an operations level, followed by people who have sailed but now moved ashore. That's about 13%. So that's a fairly good mix. And for the panelists, it probably might be a little bit of challenge to how do you address to the different kind of demographics we have, but I think that'll make it even more interesting. So just for everyone, this is a panel discussion. We'll have a set of questions which we will be asking the panelists over here, and we look forward to their answers. But before I again take the first question from them, let me take a question from you, and which will be a short answer type question. So, what is your understanding of the HSEQ discipline? Whatever comes to your mind, whatever you think, there's nothing right, wrong. HSEQ is a very broad term, right? So whatever comes to your mind, please keep on, writing that. And while we have your answers coming through, which I will share it later on, let me ask the first question to our panelist, and this question is to Captain Amandeep. So, as the poll question says, what is HSEQ, Captain Aman, and why is this discipline actually required? And if you could give an example from your experience in terms of the utility for a company, for an individual. So a very basic question, but it will help us to, set the context for the webinar. So over to you, Captain Amandeep.
Thank you, Captain Gaurav. Hi to all. Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you're joining in from. First of all, thank you very much to Sea and Beyond team, especially Captain Gaurav, to rendering invite for me in this webinar, whose themes, is very close to my heart, and it really resonates to my experience in industry, which is built over 3 decades. So I, along with my colleagues, look forward to a very interactive session in next 1.5 to 2 hours. So, while coming to the question from Captain Gaurav, HSEQ is basically, to me, is a practice in a structured, risk-based decision-making discipline. It's a highly professional discipline where one should have, technical knowledge, know-how about the regulations, ability to drive the data and have analysis, and most importantly, have a consistent leadership behavior. So HSEQ is basically not a compliance to a checklist. It's a highly disciplined profession whereby when we drive risk assessments, we consider the safety of people, safety of assets, protection of environment, all this within the domain of regulatory compliance. So this is a complete understanding for me of HSEQ. Coming to second part of question from Captain Gaurav regarding how the HSEQ in the ship management. Well, from my experience, HSEQ delivers real value through the proactive risk management because it brings real value to the operations. One example I can lead is, in current scenario where ship vetting and inspection scenario, the regime going on, especially for SIRE 2.0 and right ship, they're all risk-based assessment of processes and human. So this is nothing but how the health, safety, and environmental quality is bringing in, and we have seen it, HSEQ, when you implement the proactive assessments of risk, and comply, combine it with the company's processes and people competency, human element part, then not only the outcome of inspections have been improved, more importantly, the people who are, doing the processes, handling it, are more confident and more able to have a proper decision during the critical operations, whether it is loading, discharging operations, navigation, or engineering processes. So overall, that is how HSEQ helps in a ship management part also. So this is how my views about HSEQ and it's part of its management.
Thank you for your insights, Captain Amandeep, and also showing that relevance as well. And while you were answering, I guess there have been a few people who have 27, we received 27 responses. And before I come to you, Sandeep, maybe I thought I'll just share the responses which we have got. And this is the word cloud. So basically, it's essentially the definition which most of the people understand, and then that's what comes out. But we've got good replies. It's complying with the organization HSEQ policies, prevention of accidents. It means safety of crew, environment compliances, maintaining the highest standard. Yeah, I think great responses, everyone. Thank you. And I'll stop sharing that, and then I'll come to Sandeep. You've seen the responses also now, Sandeep, and uh, uh, I don't think it'll change. The response would change from a deck side to an engineering side, but it'll be good to hear from you, yeah, about your thoughts, and maybe if you want to give any example around it as well.
Uh, Hi, Gaurav, and good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all of you from whichever part of the world you are. First of all, a big thank you to C and Beyond and Gaurav Rana for having us here, inviting us, and giving us an opportunity to share our experiences for the upcoming candidates who want to build a future in HSEQ. And it's a good opportunity to interact, and we would like to give sincere inputs for the candidates, for all the audiences. Now, coming to your question, Gaurav, what does HSEQ mean in practice? And the second part is, why is it a professional discipline? Well, HSEQ, as the word health, safety, environment, quality, it is not. It is just not a department itself alone. It is, it is a structured management discipline that controls the risk in any operation, right? So why it qualifies as, I mean, I will just be adding to what Amandeep said, and like you said that it will not change, yes, but I'll keep adding to what Amandeep just said. And why it is a professional discipline is because I would like to add, it requires structured knowledge, systematic thinking, judgment, analytical skills, and it is governed by international regulations. And when I say it is governed by international regulation, it is not just, interpreting, I mean, not just following the word, it is interpreting and applying the regulations, right? So it is essentially a management science applied to risk. If I can, be little theoretical about it, interpretation, and like Amandeep covered about root cause analysis, analytical skills, etc. And I would also like to add one more thing, is that QHS is also objective evidence based. You know, we must verify, we must have objective evidence to verify compliance. And it is now changing its role, the HSEQ. It is now also because I would like to emphasize the importance of it, is because now it is changing its role from a support role to a rather strategic discipline, which at some point of time now it has also started to become a commercial differentiator. It is impacting the commercial profile of an organization. Example. Okay, I would, since I am an engineer, and I would like to bring in a very, very basic and very simple example, which all the engineers here would uh, associate it very, very easily. And I would give you a scenario where, let us say, there is an engine room bilge water you have, right? It's contaminated and you have excess bilge water. Now, without an HSEQ approach, what would be done? Crew bypasses the OWS, you have excessive bilge water, you don't know what to do. There is no HSEQ principle involved. You bypass the OWS using hoses, magic pipes, as it used to be, and no proper record keeping. No, you ignore all the alarms. You don't make, you make all the wrong things. And what is the outcome of not having the HSQ? You have PSC detentions, you have MARPOL violations, you have heavy fines, reputation losses, etc., etc. I mean, all sorts. Most of the audience, I believe, they come from marine background, so they know what are the outcomes of a bilge water not processed through OWS and discharge ashore. And now I would like to bring in, the HSEQ principle. By if there is an HSEQ intervention, it will be a step by step. We do the trend of the bilge water accumulation. We review the performance of the OWS. We see what is the reason for accumulation of OWS. We check the alarm history. Then the next step would be we take over a root cause analysis. We go for finding the possible causes of why there was an overflow or excessive sludge or bilge water accumulated. We also check about the crew awareness, whether they are aware of how to handle such scenarios. And then finally, after all this analysis and research and trend setting or reviewing the trends, we come to something known as corrective action, which all of you would probably, this term would echo with most of the guys who are especially from the shipping. And then there's something known as preventive action. And then, the preventive action, okay, corrective action will be focused on only this particular case. And when we are talking about preventive action, it is not just one such case. It is the preventive measures or preventive actions are done fleet-wide, ship-specific. It could also include carrying out the training of the ship staff involved, or sometimes even the company wide. There could be something, a common link between this and various other ships in the fleet or in our company. So that is how deep the HSEQ will take one small event of excessive bilge water on one ship, right? And then at last is verification, right? Verification by internal audits, random ship visits, then tank soundings, etc. There are a lot of ways, to review, to ensure, to check the verification, right? So HSEQ really, really is very important. If I can, sum it up, it is a structured, evidence-based, regulation-driven system, and it is a formal system to identify, control, solve, and continuously reduce risk across any operations. I gave you an example of excessive bilge water, but there could be endless operations which we can take care of. Thank you.
Great, great. Thanks, Sandeep. Management science related to risk. I think to me, I've heard this is the first time, but you've really put it very well, and you've also spoken about how it affects the commercial interest of the vessel, and of course the example was very relevant. Moving on to Captain Vineet. Captain Vineet has been on ship management side. He's been on the recycling side, and of course, he's C and beyond. He's also taking care of the training. I think you'll be in a very good position to answer a lot of these questions. But I've got Captain Amandeep would like to speak up.
Yeah, Gaurav, before Vineet goes in. So, I think very well put by Sandeep, the HSEQ, perspective out. So, if I may, give a bottom line, HSEQ, do instead of a reactive assessment, they do predictive assessment for any process, because the start of processes are in the background, as he explained the history. So instead of being a reactive to any event, HSEQ do a predictive analysis and assessment of processes on board and ashore.
Yeah,
Thank you.
perfect, Amandeep. Perfect. Thank you for putting this up.
Great, great. So over to you, Captain Vineet. First, if you could tell a little bit about what is recycling, because I see there are a lot of non-mariners also over here. So give a small context on what recycling is. How is the HSEQ part relevant on the recycling, and probably give an example as well. So over to you.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Gaurav, and greetings to all who are present here. So I'll not dwell upon the ship management side, which is well covered by Captain Amandeep and Sandeep here. Uh, and the ship recycling part, it's a very vast subject. I mean, uh, most of us may not have any experience of beaching a vessel, landing a vessel for after the funeral voyage. Uh, but thankfully, I've been with one of the leading companies who have been pioneers in ship recycling business uh, and implementation of HSEQA standards in India as well as outside India. So, very unique experience, and my response will be totally within the perspective of recycling. So, some of you may know that Southeast Asia, which includes India, Bangladesh, and Pakistan, is one of the biggest hubs of ship recycling, and we'll expect to continue doing so in next decade or so. So, uh, the thing is, the status that we had for ISM implementation, that's what how I want to put it across. In 1996-97, when I joined the vessels as a cadet, so we were in the implementation phase of ISM at that time. Everybody was wondering what to do, what not to do, how to implement, what is the right thing to do, and how what to follow, how to prepare the checklist. I would say that last 5 years, the ship recycling business has been undergoing the similar kind of change. It is evolving through, say, rights and wrongs being carried across the spectrum. And HSEQ itself is evolving very fast. And that's why there is a lot of scope in HSEQ development, especially in India, because we have almost 150 yards within India at a place called Alang, where a lot of vessels come for recycling. And as Amandeep has said, that this is a difference between the reactive and predictive phase of the risk assessment. And I would say that so far we were in recycling, we were somewhere in the reactive state of identifying the risks and attending to them, reacting to them. So now the next 5 to 10 years is expected to develop into a predictive mode of risk assessment, setting up systems in those yards, not only in India, but where worldwide, because this is going to be a big market. So uh, I will not say what HSEQ stands for, because at any given time, whether it's recycling, shipbuilding, or ship management, the core values still remain same. But uh, the maturity of the people involved here, that's for sure is very different. The seafaring community, the people who are working on ship, they have been trained. Uh, I mean, say for years now. But the people that you get in ship recycling yards, especially in Southeast Asia, in India, they are simple workers who are involved in gas cutting operations and different simple blue collar jobs. And that's where this is a challenge to develop the mentality of those people toward compliance and making them understand that whatever we are developing, whatever we are telling them is for their own good, for their health, for their safety, and the betterment of environment across the coast. So I think that's how I would like to sum it up.
Thank you, Captain Vineet. So, as you mentioned, recycling is about managing the post uh, demise voyage of a vessel, the whole management of the vessel, and it's an evolving thing in this particular industry, and probably it's taking a cue from the ship management part as well. It's fairly prevalent in Southeast Asia, as you mentioned, India, especially in Alang. I think that's where all the shipwreck recycling yards are. Thank you so much for your thoughts. And yeah,
Gaurav, if I can add to Vineet, to me, HSEQ is even more crucial for ship recycling business, for a sheer uh, involvement of the severity of the operations and directly involving quite a number of people and the kind of operations involved in a ship recycling. So HSEQ part plays even more crucial role on this part. Involvement of hazards, people taking the risky jobs for dismantling the vessel, environmental protection. Environmental is really at stake of these activities. If it goes wrong, it's a quite a big repercussions to the environment. And we have seen it, the regulations coming in. Thanks to Hong Kong Convention, now there is a whole set of new regulation for hazardous material to account for, and it comes handy when the vessel goes for a breakage or a dismantling. So it is the most important part, and HSEQ here plays quite a significant role. Yeah, thank you.
sure.
Having said that, I would also like to put in one line here, and it is that when we are talking about shipbuilding and compared to ship recycling is a very dynamic thing. Uh, there can be many things unexpected. How a 20-year-old vessel or 30-year-old vessel which you're going to recycle, depending upon how it has been operated for its life, there could be surprises coming in. And when there is something unplanned happening, when there is something dynamic happening, QHSE's role, even, it becomes more and more important and vital. So ship recycling, I echo what Amandeep and Captain Shukla just said. Yes, there's more and more of it. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you all three of your for your thoughts. We'll move to the next question. And before I ask you, Sandeep, the next question, let's check from the audience. What do they feel? Which geography do they feel there is the highest growth rate in the shore jobs in maritime? So let's see what do the audience feel. But the next question from me to you, Sandeep, is um, do you feel that the demand of HSEQ professionals is growing worldwide per se, and where do you feel which geography the HSEQ professionals are more in demand? And just time check, we've kind of got about 40 minutes already, so just kind of telling you. But after you answer, then I'll probably take the answer of this poll and then I'll share it with everyone. But over to you, Sandeep. You're on mute.
How do you read?
Yes, loud and clear.
All right. Well, your question, and I think this is the most uh, the most important question to the audience and close to their heart, that is the demand for HSEQ professionals growing? Why and where? Yes. Well, I have a very heartening answer for that, that yes, the demand for HSEQ professionals is clearly growing globally. Yes. And it is kind of accelerating towards, Asia and India. Particularly in Europe, I would say it is growing in the environment related field. And the reason is that they have very, very strict emission and, emission compliance norms coming up with various regulations such as, EU MRV, Fuel EU Maritime, UK MRV. So UK, I consider, geographically close to, I mean, I don't consider it is geographically close to Europe, and EU ATS, emission trading scheme, etc., etc. Lot of emission related stuff happening in Europe. So that is where the demand for HSEQ is also growing, particularly environmental field. And then coming down to Asia and India. India, yes, like Vineet said, that is because of a lot of recycling business happening here, ship recycling, I mean. And other parts of Asia is like mostly focused on concentrated in Singapore and China. There is a lot of demand for HSQ professionals happening. Why is it growing? Okay, I would say it is increasing because there is an ever increasing pressure with regards to regulatory compliance. The governments, the regulators, the administration, they are focusing on, they are increasing pressure and tightening their grip on compliance. So that is the reason I would say companies need now dedicated experts, to ensure compliance and avoid any kind of detentions or fines, penalties, blacklisting, or loss of business. And there is one cost factor also involved. Cost is very, very important. Okay, because there is very high cost of incidents, accidents, or any violations happening. So that is the reason the companies, they would like to invest heavily in HSEQ in prevention of incidents, like what Captain Amandeep pointed out in our when we were discussing the last question, that to prevent incidents rather than react to them. So that is also, if there is an incident, we have time loss, we have lost time, we have injuries, we have associated costs. So to avoid that, definitely we are the role of HSEQ is growing. And also there is one more strategic function I would like to mention here, is shift towards the environmental, social governance and sustainability. So not only the regulators, but also the investors, the customers, the clients, the charterers, they also demand your involvement or your responsible operations, environmental reporting, emission reduction strategies, etc. So that is why HSEQ is also taking a very, very strategic role, like what we discussed in our when we were discussing the previous questions. And also we do have a ever increasing the supply chain pressure, and which is a global pressure. They do, the clients or the charterers, they do not want any delays because of a non-compliance, because of injury, because of any other factor. So to deliver everything on time, whatever are your commitments, it definitely, QHSE, if it is there, it is going to help you a lot. Now, you also particularly asked me that growth story in India. Yes, India, if all of us know it is slowly developing into a major hub globally for crew and ship management. I mean, crew supply and ship management. So a lot of companies, they have they are employing ship the ship personnel who are Indian nationals. And when primarily the crew is from India, it increases the demand for HSEQ professionals as well, right? And like we discussed, India is growing. India is a developing economy. It is showing growth and development. It is making growth and development in its ports and shipping. Then oil and gas, renewable energy, global supply chain management. So more the operations, more will be risk, and as there is more risk, the more will be the demand for HSEQ personnel, right? So India is, like I said, is a global crew and ship management hub, and likewise there is a demand for the structured workforce who can deliver on even HSEQ front. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, Sandeep. Very well summarized. The more the risk, the more the demand for HSEQ people, and it commercially also it makes sense to take proactive action for all the stakeholders. And India, of course, is the choice, especially for such kind of operations, wherein we have a very competent crew already working, and I think there is a labor arbitrage as well, which kind of helps us. And let me share the results. I think most of the audience also feel that will be India, where there the highest growth will happen, and followed by Middle East, then followed by Far East, and then the least in Europe. You rightly pointed out that in Europe, probably the need for people in the environment may be increasing more over there. So thank you for that, Sandeep. Move to Captain Vineet. Captain Vineet, what do you feel about the growth of HSEQ within the ship recycling and the geography as well?
Yeah, thanks, Gaurav. So, as I said earlier, that Southeast Asia has been a big hub for ship recycling activities, and especially with India signing up and this ratifying the ship recycling code coming into force in recently, there is a lot of demand for HSEQ personals, both in the yards as well as from the uh, companies whose vessels are going to be recycled, because these are bigger companies, mostly based in Europe, and India may not be the first choice initially. I mean, just talking about 6, 7 years back when Maersk set up the first recycling vessel in India. There was a whole debate about why it has to be there in India in Alan. But I can just put a disclaimer that with for last 7 years what I've worked in Alang, I can simply vouch that most of the yards in Alang that I've worked in are truly world-class facilities with structures and processes developed in equivalence to the yards which are expected as per EU standards also. But as I said, there are almost 110, 150 yards in India itself alone, not counting additional yards in Bangladesh and Pakistan. This certification itself requires people from HSEQ background to interpret the requirements of the regulations of Hong Kong Convention, of USRR requirements, and now they are coming into a habit of being audited. And as we were doing with the SIRE inspections, when the SIRE inspections started earlier, uh, we had no clue what will be looked after, how to prepare for the SIRE inspections. Similarly, we need trained people from both the fields. Since we have almost 24% people here in the audience who are not from the seafaring background, so that's a very good choice uh, in recycling, because uh, earlier, I would say 6, 7 years back, there was only one safety officer, who was appointed by the yard, who was filling up minimal forms, not very detailed, not very established processes. But now, I can say 1 year back, when I moved away from alone, each and every yard had at least 3 to 4 safety officers. So you can see a four-fold increase in the number required in each yard. Now you just multiply that by 100 and 150 for each of those yards. That's only from the owner's perspective, the shipyard owner's perspective. Each vessel which goes for the ship recycling in a yard, especially the bigger names, I can use say Maersk, CMA, CGM, Evergreen, and different other companies. They have a monitoring team normally who stays on the ground and monitors the process of recycling, because the process is still evolving, so they have to keep on monitoring the systems, if whatever is being promised by the yard is being complied or not. So there again, you will at least have two people. It may be a naval architect, it may be a junior officer, it may be a master, like I was there. So different ranks can bring in their expertise, basically from seafaring background as well as from non-seafaring background also, to improve the system and take it to a top-notch process, where we can proudly say that the yards in India or in Southeast Asia are equal or maybe better than the yards which were expected under various regulations. So there is a tremendous opportunity in these ship recycling yards, not only for monitoring team as a safety officer, but also at auditors also. So the senior people who have very good experience in auditing business in shipping, they know what regulation requires and how to interpret, how to make those processes, how to write procedures. So if you think that you have that knack of writing procedures, you have that understanding of developing something right from scratch, sky is the limit to come into, say, ship recycling and help these yards and companies to develop procedures to make it a world-class facility.
Thank you, Vineet. So essentially, what you're saying is that from say the last 5 years, the number of people required in the yard, the requirements have increased 4x, right? You're saying there was one safety officer, now there are four, and I'm sure the shipyards would also have increased. So which means that the demand for such people is there. You also mentioned that it's not just probably mariners, but it could be non-mariners as well, who could be suitable for this role. So that's a very good insight. And so I'll build upon that particular insight and ask uh, a a poll from the audience, and the poll is: what do you feel is the minimum qualification required to be in the HSEQ, right? And to Captain Amandeep, my next question is on the same lines. So Captain Amandeep, you hire people, you've worked with so many people on the HSEQ department. What do you feel are, number one, the qualifications required in the ship management side for to be in the HSEQ? Number one is the qualification. Number two are the skill set, right? What kind of personality is probably is best for a person to do well in this field? So over to you.
Right. Okay. Gaurav, just to answer the first question, part of the question, if you talk about a professional qualifications to come into HSEQ and excel in it, there's no single part to it. People with marine background, engineering background, non-marine background are entering and have been entering into the HSEQ and doing very well. So professionally, there is a vast spectrum. People with a background of all these professional qualification are able to join in. Most important is to have a domain knowledge on a certification of a HSEQ part as a basis, ISM code and MLC code, ISO, auditing, these kind of certifications as a domain knowledge to come in a HSEQ. People have it before coming into HSEQ, or people take it when they, go and decide they want to be part of the health, safety, environment, quality. So this is on the professional side. If you talk about core skills of HSEQ, which we call it even a soft skill, there are some basic qualities which HSEQ personnel should have it, and which will help them to do good in this discipline. It's basically qualities like inquisitive mindset, people who always been inquisitive about finding why this process, what is the root behind this job doing in this fashion. So if you put a why to it, we this is one of the best quality. Even in HSEQ, we have seen it, and maybe Sandeep will resonate well. We have incident analysis. We have a fault finding tree. We have 5 why tree. These are kind of the techniques which is well developed into HSEQ. So this is a very core skill. Continuing, we can be also people with a continuous learning mindset are more adaptive to HSEQ. Definitely experience help, but this domain, this discipline will always require to have continuous learning. Regulations are changing, the dynamics of the industry is changing, and it is changing very fast. So if the person who wants to do good has a habit of a continuous learning, will do definitely much better in this profession. And some other skills are data driven thinking. People who have an analytical frame of mind are best suited for these kind of roles, for this. And coming to the final part, the growth projection in HSEQ is again, there are various paths to find, but usually seafaring background people coming ashore in HSEQ on a executive level, who are not on a top level, top 4 in the seafaring, as a seafarer, junior level. They come on a HSEQ level as executive or a junior officers, then grow towards senior marine officers and all. And professionals who are senior at sea, especially top 2, always you want to come in the HSEQ, join as a marine superintendent, then grow from there to manager, and lead manager, general manager. Those kind of projections are there. And even the seafarers, even the non-seafarers, the path remains same. You come with a domain of engineering or maybe a data analyst. So you join as a junior level as executive, then grow into that particular field under the HSEQ umbrella. So these are the few inputs.
So thank you so much, Captain Aman. And so what you mentioned is a person, and this is actually Shivam asked this question while you were answering, is that a person needs to have an inquisitive mindset, data-driven kind of a thought process. Those are the kind of skills required. You mentioned there is no, professional qualification is not a barrier to enter into this field. You can enter at different levels, but the progression would, of course, be different. And I think the earlier you enter into a growing field, I see that the higher you could rise and the faster that you could rise. That's the other part which I am seeing. And just a question to you, Captain Aman, and if you don't mind, how much how much has your team grown since when you joined your current company? I know, I mean, it's grown fairly well. In the last 5 years, say, what has been the growth in your team and probably similar other companies?
Oh, well, it is quite a lot. I wouldn't say enormous, but it's quite healthy growth over the last decade or so while we set up an office. And especially post-COVID, the growth has been exponential. And this relates to your last question, where the growth is, in which geography, part of the world. India is a growth story. Okay, without any doubts. The regulations are increasing, complexity of the operations are increasing, and we as an Indian with proper education background experience are well set for that. Thanks to government, who has put the vision out, Viksit Bharat or Amrit Kal vision of 2047. So these are all positive factors. Talking about growth in our organization, I would say in a decade or so in HSEQ, there is at least 6 to 7x ratio which have increased. A department of about 5 guys handling 10 to 15 vessels, 20 vessels have grown up to 45 vessels now, and HSEQ itself have about 18 to 20 professionals at the moment. And this is set of our company. There are bigger organizations which have gone more exponentially. So again, growth story in India is very, very positive, and HSEQ is a really disciplined, professional discipline, where the people can excel much better. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Last decade, you say 6 to 7x, right? Growth. And I think we can take it as a microcosm of the entire industry. I think in the last decade, probably the professionals within this domain would have grown, would have become 6 times, 7 times, honestly. Maybe more as well, to be very frank. Thank you for that insight. And I took a poll earlier, and let me just share the results. So I think a poll wherein we've got 3 options at the same percentage, which is people are saying that you could enter at any level. You could be a top 4 sailing, you could be an ops level, you could be a non-mariners. I think so. And that's essentially aligns with what Captain Amandeep was also saying. But the same question to you, Sandeep, what do you feel? What are the qualifications which are required to get into this field, and the skills required? But before you speak, maybe Captain Aman has raised his hand.
No, I really want to congratulate that we have one of the best audience today, and the participants who can really, make that percentage equal divided into 3, top 4, non-mariner, and a junior level. It really resonates to our ideas, and we are very fortunate to have this kind of audience today. Great.
Awesome. Great. Very well said. Yes, Sandeep, over to you.
Yeah, thanks, Gaurav. Yeah, see, as far as qualifications are concerned, it won't change as per my thinking. The qualifications would remain same. So I would not, repeat what Amandeep has very rightfully, very correctly put up. I would like to, add and touch upon and elaborate on some of the skills that, resonate with me, or how I see it as very important. Okay, 2 lines on, you need technical skills, means your core expertise. That means understanding of the shipboard operations, equipment, systems, environmental systems, safety systems, etc. But coming on to the soft skills, like what Amandeep said, inquisitive mindset. I remember the word. Yes, very, very important. And I would say, this is the skill which would differentiate an auditor from an inspector. You should have the ability to look beyond the obvious, beyond symptoms. You should be having that skill to identify any, systemic failures, pattern recognition, trend recognition. If there is a trend in something, that is something which differentiates you and from an inspector who would just say, okay, uh, oily water separator not working, or that particular, that there is a leak from that pipe. I mean, I'm giving some examples which are related to ship only, but why and what it could lead to. That is what we, an auditor or a HSEQ expert, should be able to see. Apart from that, details to attention, very, 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 very important, because the industry where we are in, you know, very minor discrepancies, very minor errors can lead to a very big compliance risk. It could be, a wrong entry done in an oil record book could mean falsification of record, could mean mis, the record keeping not matching with the consequent or the subsequent entries, and it could be interpreted as, the actual things on board are not complying what is being mentioned in the record books, right? So a small discrepancy could be a very major compliance risk. Apart from that, you also need regulatory awareness. You have to keep abreast. You have to keep yourself updated with every day. You are getting new regulations, new flag state requirements, port state requirements, local requirements for a particular port, for a particular country, for a particular region, geographical location or region. There are ever changing regulations. So this is one more skill you need to develop, that you must be inclined to keep yourself abreast, and not only keep yourself informed. This I mentioned before also. You must also know the trend of the external inspections that are happening, like whether it is vetting, whether it is PSC inspections, whether it is any third party inspections that are happening on ships which belong to your company's fleet, because that will give you how the inspectors interpret those regulations. So we have to, read between the lines also. We have to interpret, and we have to know about the interpretation of how a particular PSC in a particular region, they are interpreting a particular regulation which has just come up, right? Apart from that, I would say one very important, okay, it is that continuous improvement mindset. I have to be improving. I have to be improving. I have, okay, this is general. This is a generic trait, but more so in this, because until you do that, you will not be able to learn from the incidents. You'll not be able to learn from fleet trends, industry trends, or trade specific. Like you are there are different trade: chemical trade, oil trade, bulk carrier, containers. So you have to be, learning from all that also. Yeah, see, these are basically the skills you need, apart from a positive mindset and a positive attitude. And one small thing, okay, I can see is about competency. You have to evolve yourself as far as competency. You go for new competencies. You upgrade your knowledge. You keep adding value to, like how they say is, you make your CV heavy, put in. So that is not only by the word you just make your CV heavy, it should actually be in practice as well, right? Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Sandeep. So you mentioned attention to detail, ability to go beyond the obvious, keep yourself well informed, updated always. So it may not be very easy for anyone to kind of enter and then stay in this field. But let's hear from Vineet. Vineet, and probably the perspective now will be on the recycling side. What do you feel? What kind of qualifications and skills are required here?
Yeah, Gaurav. So, I mean, just most of the things are covered from Aman and Sandeep. But the scenario here in recycling yards is very, very different. Uh, the workers with whom you are dealing, I mean, and on a ship, you have almost 20, 22 people for whom you are responsible on in the office, in the ship management company, you are responsible for 5, 10, 12 vessels or maybe more, but you're not dealing with them day in, day out, every day. Here you are responsible for the safety of those 100, 200, and sometimes maybe 300 people in a bigger yard on everyday basis. I mean, a small mistake by any one of those 300 persons can lead to an explosion, can lead to a fire immediately. And that's where you have to be having that, like he has covered, attention to detail. But attention to detail has to be really, really specific, thinking about what can go wrong. And it can literally go wrong because you don't have an experience of how a simple LPG cooking cylinder can blast. That's not part of your competency. You only know the fire triangle, the same kind of fire triangle which has been taught to you during your firefighting courses, but you're not prepared to understand what can go wrong. And that's where continuous learning process comes in. You have to keep your ego aside, maybe. You have to keep your ears and eyes open and learn from the people who are doing that job. And they are simple workers who may be doing that same gas cutting operation from last 20 years. They know, and I mean, just to give you a clue that when we arrived in Alang, there was no spark arrestor or flame arrestor being used in those gas cutters. There was no practice about that. If I say somebody from the vessel, there is no spark arrestor or flame arrestor being used in a gas cutter, you will say it can't be. We normally have those things already available. There is established process. But even today, I mean, you have to literally look for it. There may be instances, though it is now being implemented, but they out of habit, they may just cut short the connection and because of something going wrong and forget about putting up that spark arrestor or flame back arrestor. Now that cylinder without that flame flashback arrestor is a ticking time bomb. And that gas cutting operation, that's the worst part. I mean, the 90% of the operation is gas cutting. So they cut the pieces ranging from 5 tons to sometimes 20 tons and maybe heavier, and then they pick it up from the crane and put it in the floor on the shipyard floor. So lifting of the heavy material and the gas cutting operation, these are the two things which keep on happening day in day out, and that's what I mean. I'm glad that every day when you finish off the work at 6, 7 o'clock, and it's a day job. I mean, it's not something which you can do sitting in an office. Not to say that other things are not that difficult, but this is very hands-on job. I remember when we started working in ship recycling earlier. Uh, there were not even officers assigned for monitoring teams. I mean, there were simple wooden blocks where we were putting up our offices, and there was no Wi-Fi. The signal was poor, so our officers knows that okay, they are on ground, so they will not be responding to the calls and to the emails. So it was totally hands-on job, a totally different scenario from something which we expect in ship management. And you have to gel with these people to gain their trust and have patience to tell them same thing day in day out for months. To wear simple things which are now at very mature level, wearing of gloves, wearing of safety shoes, wearing of helmet. I mean, I still do that every day. I mean, when you go on a round, you will at least find 10 people who are not wearing these PPs. So it is at that basic level, and that is where I think there is a lot of evolvement required from people from shipping background, because they have understood the usage of and say basically the better usage of these procedures, the PPE, You can simply say the harness, working at height. So these are things which are very new to the system here, and you have to understand and maybe think out of the box. When you are standing there seeing something happening, you have to evolve and understand what more I can do to make this process safer. So that is something I think the people who think that they may join the ship recycling part as a HSEQA team. Uh, the systems are not mature enough, and that's where your out of the box thinking experience can help a lot, making things much safer for each and everyone.
Thank you, Vineet. I think a very good perspective, and I'm not sure how many people would have known that, because what we are saying is that in recycling yard, you're dealing with 300 up to say about 300 odd people. To people who are not so educated, maybe not as skilled, you have to manage them. It's not a pure office job. You'll have to be at the yard, but at the same time, what I see is an opportunity. This is recycling is where probably ship management was, say, about 15-20 years back. So if someone probably gets into that particular field now, then the opportunity for the progression will probably be much faster over there. But you of course have to be aware of the other things as well. So great. Thank you, Vineet. And so I mean, we've heard what kind of skills are required, but I'm just and honestly, that came to me when I was arranging for the webinar as well. I had our three panelists over whom I was talking to, and I've had a few more webinars, but all three of them were wanted to know each and everything, right? And that's their personality, that's their skill, and they just wanted to know each and everything. But there are people like me, right, who uh, are who may not want to get into the depth of things, right? Who are okay to maybe work in gray, and then move forward. So what the point I'm trying to come to is that I think to the audience, you have to relate it to yourself. What kind of personality are you? Do you really like to get into the depth of things, not proceed ahead before you are very, very clear? You enjoy being updated, you enjoy studying, I mean that's something which gives you're very, very data driven. If that's your personality, I think HSEQ side of things is probably the more relevant one for you. And I think here I will, Sandeep, I'm coming to you only for the next question. And I'll request, we're kind of running out of time. So maybe the next questions, if I'll request all the panelists to maybe take a 1.5 minute to answer it, is that how is the progression in this particular field in the QHSE, HSEQ field? And especially if you can answer for the top four for the people at the operations level, right? We've got a couple of answers, question from one engineer and one chief officer. So maybe let's take them as an example. So first to you, Sandeep, how is the progression, especially for the people who are not in the top four? And of course, you had a comment to make. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Before I get on to the next question, I would add one very, very important skill which I would like to add. Definitely, it's a good communication skills and report writing. So that is a very, very important skill which is required for in the HSEQ, because if communication is not correct, you don't transmit the correct message, because you are a link between the site, be it ship or ship recycling facility or a shipyard, and the management or the various stakeholder shipping sitting at remote locations. So communication skills and again report writing. Yeah. Okay. So the next question, Gaurav, as you mentioned, opportunity, progression, and for the professionals in HSEQ. Well, I would mention here is, if I would like to segregate in rather two different segments. First thing is growth is not limited, okay, but it requires very important thing which I would like to mention is it requires a self-driven effort. Because as I mentioned in the previous question, the skills required, so most of the skills that I mentioned were, kind of it were, most of them were like a self-driven centered, so this is what is a very important thing. And then about the growth structure, I would like to say is, the growth structure in the top tier companies and not a very big companies. What opportunities you get in big companies, okay, in top-notch companies is you get a very high level of visibility because you are always handling, you're not handling routine operations, okay, every ship, every audit, every investigation, every incident investigation, everything is a dynamic thing. It is a new thing. So it gives you faster, how should I say, exposure to responsibilities, because HSEQ, they don different hats. So that is a very good that opportunity is there. You get faster exposure to responsibility. You are handling multiple roles sometimes when you go at a problem site or an audit site. So this gives you an opportunity for practical and hands-on expertise to know about it faster than the other regular routine jobs which are there. Then about the smaller companies, when we come, there are certain challenges that I would like to mention. There are limited salary growth and limited exposure to advanced areas. They're mostly like the smaller companies are mostly compliance operators rather than a strategic professionals in there. They're just doing the routine audits, or they will have very limited exposure to a very advanced area such as ESG, environment social governance, which is a very big very important aspect these days in an industry.
Time check, Sandeep.
Yes. Hello.
Time check.
Okay. And then other also compliance tools, etc. So these are some of the challenges I would say where you have. And then if you're talking about the career progression, okay, you can start off as HSEQ officer, going on to senior officer, then executive manager, and then fleet manager, etc. for the HSEQ. Yeah, that's thank you.
Thanks, Sandeep, and thank you for giving that perspective of working in a a bigger setup versus a smaller setup, and of course the progression. I'll move to Vineet for on this. Vineet, what do you feel about the opportunities and the progression over here?
Yeah, so I'll just keep it short, Gaurav, because of the time. So there are basically two pathways, or I can say, hazmat expert is something which people from shipping background can look into. Though that is more or less somewhere saturated in the ship management part, because most of the ships already have that hazmat say certificates in place. It's only the maintenance of those plants and processes which is now being done. But on the other side, the ship recycling part, there is still a lot of requirement of people who understand the various kind of lattice material which are listed in that IHM inventory. So, and also taking up the samples, doing the sample testing. So this is a totally different field apart from the main ship recycling business. When we come to the ship recycling part, the HSEQA, as I said earlier, I know at least two good naval architects who started with me 7, 8 years back. They are very well settled. in Bhavnagar, close to Allan. Now he's a head of HSEQ for four of the big yards. So he has a full team working under him. He came from Singapore, working from a shipbuilding yard, a good oil major company, and he liked the atmosphere. He liked the job what he was doing, and I mean, when we say about progression, it is not only restricted to being a part of a monitoring team or being a safety officer in a particular yard. But as I've been repeating throughout the session, you have to take the lead. I mean, the better you perform, the more value you show either to your ship management company whose ship is being recycled, or the shipyard owner from on whose side you are working. You show him the value you are putting in the system, how you are improving it, how you are bringing the betterment of the yard. You can be assured of the progression involved there. So and similarly, there is no bias when I say about the junior officers or senior officers, because the eye to detail or kind of experience that is required, at least for now in ship recycling, to prosper, is, I can say, a very, very basic level of understanding of safety procedures. So it is not matured that that you master will look for something else and second mate or third mate may not look for that particular thing. Only thing is, you should, as I said, you should be open up to challenges involved here.
Okay. Thank you, Vineet. And I think you're in line with what Sandeep also mentioned, that the growth is in your hands. It depends on how much are you putting in the hard yards. You would be able to progress. And also you mentioned that, I mean, especially in the recycling, it doesn't depend on your rank. If you are performing well, you can reach to the top. You mentioned about a couple of naval ranks as well. Same question to you, Aman, and I think I'll also take reference to Sandeep's question. I was there, or there's a chief officer with us who had asked that, yeah, Akshay. So who's asking about a progression for, I think most of us know a progression for a master, which you may touch upon, but also if you can spend more time on telling us the progression for people who are not masters but chief officers, second officers, non-mariners. If you could tell a little bit more on that side, please, Captain Aman.
Yeah, sure. So opportunities for non-masters or chief officers, operational level officers, or a non-mariner is quite a lot in HSEQ in current scenario. There are a lot of opportunities which have increased over the years. Half a decade. Potentially, people coming out and joining as a voyage managers or a junior level officer joining as a passage plan monitoring or a weather routing assistant. These kind of jobs are there. People joining for the fleet performance, a rank of third engineer, second engineer coming and joining as a fleet performance personnel in a ship management. Data analyst for a non-mariner who doesn't have known a ship but can play with the data and churn the data, has a good IT knowledge. Data analyst is in demand. These kind of people with these opportunities are available. Coming to the question of a gentleman who's a chief officer, I think it will resonate well what I've said, that now a non-master or even a non-chief officer, there are a lot of opportunities because the current scenario, there are a lot of regulations which have come, which demands the departments to diverge into various sectors and bring more capable people into the same team. At the end of the day, the goal for a ship operator or a ship owner or a manager will be to have the best management for their fleet vessels in line with the regulations. And as I always said, to have a predictive role model of the management of the ships, and you require all kind of people for that, mariner, non-mariner. Mariner has an edge because you are aware about the ship operations, you know the ships, whether in junior ranks or senior. But just to cut the long talk short, there are enormous opportunity even for non-mariners in HSEQ for ship management, ship recycling, or shipbuilding. So this is the story right now, you know.
Thank you so much, Captain Aman. And the bottom line is there are a lot of opportunities which are there. There are a lot of questions around it, and I'll take those questions at the end. I have a couple of more questions to the panelists before we move to the questions in the chat window. The question to all the participants is that, do you feel technology will disrupt the way we are working? And while I get to know about the thoughts from the audience, let me ask this question to Captain Vineet. So, Captain Vineet, what do you feel about the technology? Is it affecting ship recycling in any which way? And I think let me kind of or combine this question with another one, which is, what do you feel about startups coming in the recycling field? So if you could answer these two, please.
Yeah, so surely, technology is always going to be changing the face and the process of each and every field, so including ship recycling. And I'll just give you an example here. We know that when a vessel comes for recycling, there are so many parts which are being dismantled. There are lots of pumps, main engine, motors, bearings, enormous stuff which is being there removed from the vessel and just lying around in the stores at times waiting for it to be sold across to the highest bidder. So there is no say process involved here. So there are startups which are being launched or being worked upon as we talk here about making some kind of Amazon store kind of thing where people can list out these machinery parts, and a company which has the requirement of this kind of say spare part on their vessel, they can easily use it, buy it, get it to the vessel, and at a much better price and at availability also. This is much more relevant because there is a sister vessel which is being recycled in one of the yards. The vessel, same kind of vessel, if it is being running somewhere, it requires some kind of a spare which is not being manufactured anymore and out of stock. It can be very easily procured from these yards. There are some regulations which are still to be clarified about the certification of that second hand. It's not a OEM, it's not a original product anymore being resourced from. So there are regulations which are, as I said again and again, which have to be overcome. But there is enormous chances of use of such kind of technology because the number of spare parts in lying around those areas. And now when I'm saying it's not only spare parts, I mean, just to imagine the kind of furniture which is being removed from an accommodation of a vessel in a good condition, if that can be sold across in a much better managed way, uh, there is a lot of chance involved here. So it's one of the technology uses there. Second technology or a startup can be in which is already being planned by many companies, is supplying manpower for monitoring teams in the yards or to the ship owning companies whose vessel will be going for recycling. Then the hazmat expert route. Again, there are companies who are solely doing the hazmat expert part, removal of the hazmat from these vessels, because there are not many experts currently in India, especially if you say removal of asbestos from vessel. So if you see the procedure, it is a very complex procedure, and it's still evolving, and we need more and more people into this stream. So, to shorten my answer, the use of technology will, of course, make it much more profitable as well as faster in this area.
Thank you, Captain Vineet. I'll end the poll and share results. So 68% of the audience feels that technology will disrupt the way we work. 22% will know, and 11% are not sure. Let's move to Captain Amandeep. And Captain Aman, if you could talk about technology. Are you using technology? Is the technology being used even more than what it was being used before? And do you feel there are any startups also? I mean, there's a space for startups in the HSEQ field as well. So maybe if you could have your thoughts, please.
Yeah, good. First of all, I, having said that first poll was very nice, I do not agree to this poll result. When 78% people are saying that technology will disrupt the way we work, I would like to defer to it. Technology will not disrupt the way we work. I think technology will guide us to have more robust systems and HSEQ compliances for the future. Technology, like in any other field, is supporting the processes to be more robust and more foolproof. And it is going to be the same story for HSEQ part also. There is no doubt about it. And there are many examples to it. AI domain to maritime has increased many folds, and it is evolving very, very fast. It is evolving very fast. We had started seeing digital tools or dashboards coming for health, safety, quality data, and assisting us, Power BIs, which gives an analytical representation of the complex data in a very simple way. And thanks to all this, to the technology, maybe 100 of Excel sheets are connected and it giving a representation in a small screen about where the risk lies and how predictive steps management can take. So definitely the technology is helping, and this inputs from technology will be many, many folds in a shorter duration coming up. And also, like any other field, we have seen and we have learned from the COVID how the technology helps to keep the businesses running, and probably shipping is one of the industry where it has helped a lot. We being forefront workers, moving the vessels, cargo from one point to another, would not have probably delivered the results which have without the support from technology. You name a thing which happened during that time: remote audits, remote inspection, the regulatory part, classes doing the regulations remotely, site inspections done remotely, automation or reporting tools coming up. So without these tools, probably the shipping industry would not have moved. So we have learned from that. And as I said, this is going to increase much more in coming time, So from me, the bottom line is the technology is going to enhance our systems. So one should be, inclined towards being a tech savvy now and reasonably okay tech literate, That is how it's going to be much more rewarding in each field, including the HSEQ. Okay. Coming to the second part of the question, startups, definitely many opportunities have arisen due to technology involvement in our domain of field, HSEQ. And I have mentioned on top, it is a digital tools or developing a dashboards for a management company. Basically, the services, the audit compliance, companies providing the portals for companies, audits, follow up. Even in the training and competency departments, the technology is developing the modules for the trainers, for the crew going on board, people coming ashore for their knowledge enhancements, competency and the the requirements for a job ashore. So these are all very well aligned opportunities to startup to do the startups, and mostly startup of these directions are increasing manifolds. In fact, the startups were done 3-4 years back at a higher pace. Good service providers are enhancing those services which they started up to have more value to the same function, and bringing more reasonable output for management, keeping in line with the changing of regulations and complexity of the operations happening in a ship management and ship operations currently. Uh, I will not touch upon Sandeep's core expertise, but when we come to Sandeep, he will definitely add how technology is helping towards the engineering part or environmental part, MARPOL, Annexure 6, EU, TU, whatever things are there, IMO. It's manifold. We have developed an entire department in our organization to have a fleet performance, and it took 4 or 5 years to develop a department internally rather than going out, and doing fantastic over there. But many companies take these services very easily from outside, because there are many startups available which are providing these services to have a compliances for IMO, EU, or European EU, carbon ratings, everything is there. So these things are very much available, and key availability for the people who want to do startups in this domain. Yeah.
Thank you, Aman. And so essentially, what you're saying is technology would be more of an enabler than a disruptor. Startups are required. You have to be technology savvy as you progress. I think the only thought which comes to my mind is that would the startup need to disrupt to be successful, or just if they are enabling, will they be successful? I think that's just a question which we'll know over a period of time. I will move on to Sandeep, and that's our final question to our panel in this webinar before we move to the questions on our chat window. So similar question to you, Sandeep. What do you feel about the technology, and are startups welcome in this field or not?
Thanks, Gaurav. And the very moment you put up the poll question, I I kind of took an offense to the word disrupting. I said no way, disrupting. As far as I see it, it is okay affecting us, yes, impacting, or probably I would choose a word. It is transforming. Like technology is transforming all the fields, be it hotel industry or any other industry, it is affecting us also. I would say earlier there was manual compliance, manual record keeping, manual, and now it has become transformed to a data driven management. More of, we had manual records, oil record books, cargo record books. We are now having electronic record books, digital record systems, etc. which definitely, the digital record books or electronic record books, they are definitely helping us to reduce manipulations, although not completely eliminating them. The the digitalization of records, or it makes easier for cross checking and verification. So you need to upgrade yourself. You need to enhance your knowledge on data analytics and how to analyze data, and then skills which are required for data validation, etc. Another very strong impact that the technology is having, like even Captain Amandeep mentioned, that we were having remote audit. So there is a real-time monitoring which can be done, live monitoring which can be done from shore, whether it is emissions, compliance, or interpreting any data. It is very also anomalies can be identified remotely. And during COVID times, technology taught us that even remote inspections and even remote audits are possible, and we did that. It came with its own challenges. That is not the subject topic right now, but it was done because of the technology. Like I said, there is a lot of data analytics and trend analysis happening in the industry now. There are environmental KPIs, there are safety KPIs, there are lost time KPIs, there are any other performance indicator for whatever for whatever aspect you want. There are KPIs, and they are driven by data. And you have bar charts, you have Power BIs, and like Captain Amandeep said, you link 100 of Excel sheets and get whatever conclusive data you want. So the monitoring is also changed, because we have a lot of fleet information at hand, and which we can process to come out with certain statistics, certain data, certain Power BIs. There are, like he mentioned, fleet performance dashboards, compliance, trend tracking, which can be done. And what it is, I would say, slowly transforming it into, it is helping us to move the HSEQ towards sort of a predictive risk management, because we have a lot of patterns, we have a lot of data at hand, we have there are Power BIs which can give you which can enable you to analyze certain patterns, certain trends, and you can very easily identify uh, recurring non-compliances, or what is being repeated with even a certain rank on board. If this chief engineer was on that ship, this was happening, and now after 6 months he goes to another vessel, and so on. Or in certain region we are having certain problems, in certain type of cargo we are having this problem repeatedly. So it is helping us, it is no way disrupting us. uh, Apart from that, yes, we need to upgrade ourselves. And there's a saying, if you don't change, you'll perish. So I cannot be doing things in today's world with the skills, or with the technology which was available 20 years back, from today. So we have to adapt to it. There are also there are some specific tools, or softwares available for which can do trend analysis for you, root cause analysis for you, data reconstruction, data churning, as Captain Amandeep uses this term very often, but that is okay. I mean, that is also because of the technology, right? So then timeline tracking, that is also one very, very important thing, which is very easy to be done by the use of technology. So we have to adopt. Our role will definitely change, and we have to adapt ourselves, right? Coming on to your next question, about the startups. Yes, there are opportunities. Why not? uh, But I would say it would depend on how and where you place yourself. You have to start with a clear service that you're providing. You have to be catering to some, like I said, industry today needs subject matter experts, because the risks are, as we spoke in the previous question. So you need to have a clear plan. You approach and not, generic services, which a lot of other companies or rather big fishes are already delivering. uh, you have to know about something new things which are coming up. You don't make the common mistakes. I will just provide compliance support, I will just do the HSE audits. You have to do something which will stand out to differentiate you from what is happening. I can give you a PSC detention risk uh, training. I can give you uh, environmental social governance reporting, or I can cater to that is a new thing, right? Relatively new in the industry. So you have to bring something innovative to the center, and focus on the right values. You focus on and right attitude. You have to have a practical insight. That is when you, so yes, startups, like any other field, you have good opportunities. So, yeah.
Sure, Sandeep, thank you. So you say technology will be, will be more transformational than disruption. And
Yes.
you also told many, many, many use cases of technologies in this particular function. And of course, startup needs to understand where they are kind of focusing on. So I think thank you so much to all the panelists to, answer all the questions which I had, which I assume a lot of professionals would have, and which will help them taking a well-informed decision. But while we were all speaking, I saw a lot of questions which were there which are there in the chat window. And so what I'll do is I'll probably start from the top, and I will start to ask take these questions. Some might have been answered, some may not have been answered, some may require a little bit more, in-depth answering. So let me just go through the chat window, and then I'll take then I'll probably, raise this question to one of. Uh, Okay, I think this question came from Olivia, and she is not sailed. She's currently working in HSEQ and Marine Ops. So, what her question is, what career path, leadership roles, or specialized areas should she focus on? And maybe I'll ask this to Captain Aman, and also, if you could tell, how what all can she do to upskill herself? Um, so to you, Captain Aman.
Yeah, thanks, Gaurav. You said Olivia, if I'm responding
Olivia,
correct? Olivia.
yes.
Hi. So I think my answer will again go back to our the panel session. How you want to progress in HSEQ domain will entirely depend, how and which function you enjoy the most. You said you are experienced HSEQ officer, worked in various domains under HSEQ umbrella. So it all depends what you like the most. In HSEQ itself, there are quite a different functions. You could be a executive or a senior executive handling the auditing part or a documentation part, or maybe officer who is handling uh, compliances or vetting assurance, compliance to the PSC assurance, or maybe involved into some operational level projects under the HSEQ umbrella. Maybe if I resonated to our company or linked it to we run a projects about mooring system management plan. So project handling the mooring of a fleet vessels, maintenance module for the fleet ships, companies' fleet vessels. So such kind of projects, run through the HSEQ. So the question itself is quite wide. So, but the bottom line remains that if you are experienced in HSEQ, you have done the jobs, you should be able to figure it out what your qualities or what is your feeling about the domain you want to excel. Once it is identified, so as we said, your mind and heart is there where you want to go, and if it is available in HSEQ domain, then I think you will have a proper growth trajectory after that has been identified by you. So, and as I said, there are various opportunities, and I think a good standard company, HSEQ department, has all those opportunity available for their people. I just named already 4 or 5 various directions where you can move depending upon your interest to that. Yeah.
Okay. Any thoughts from you, Sandeep, Vineet, before we move ahead?
Hi, Olivia. I would like to mention that since I am myself an environment compliance auditor, environment has a very bright future in the HSEQ field. And if you come from Europe or nearby areas, there is a lot of action happening, and it is going to be for next at least till 2050, as I foresee it. So you, if you can build up your skills in environmental sciences and environment compliance in shipping, that should be give you a good opportunity.
Yeah, I just want to add up, Gaurav. I just saw in the chat box, she's a non-seafarer. She's a non-mariner who has grown into, HSEQ and marine operations. So, and probably her query was that what is the career progression? So, just to support her, as we have mentioned, if you have attained reasonable experience into marine operation and HSEQ, the career progression is quite strong, even being a non-mariner. You can, get yourself promoted or seen as a specialist, HSEQ specialist for various domains. We employ HSEQ specialists for vetting assurance who have core expertise for the vetting part. They have quite a big experience. They learned throughout their job in 4 or 5 years, and they became, expertise, the specialist to handle the vetting assurance task. We have people who are being non-mariners have grown up to the HSEQ officers, the marine officers, being a non-mariner. The marine officer in itself, handles the various sub task under the HSEQ and handle the team, which is doing the PSC assurance, vetting, HSEQ, near miss accounting, incident compiling. So these officers, handle a team of executive and directly support the managers or the superintendent to have even a management review analysis of the functions which have happened quarterly, half yearly, yearly. So this is something of a progression for a senior person like you, being even a non-mariner. So you can look forward to these kind of roles within the company or outside with the reasonable experience you have now. Yeah.
Thank you, Captain. I think I'll move to the next question, and that next question has come in different ways from different people, from Akshay, Shivam, Agnew. And the question is that we've understood that there is a lot of progression, there are a lot of possibilities. The possibilities are increasing in this field. But how does a person prepare? How does a person enter into this field? Uh, uh, and what's probably the starting point? And maybe here I will request first Sandeep, if you go ahead. If you talk about the engineering side specifically, right? A person is a third engineer or a chief engineer. How can they upskill themselves so that they are able to apply and finally, rise in this particular field? And then I'll come to the for the tech side, guys.
Well, basically, we had already spoken about this thing in our panel question. That you need to first, okay, if you are an engineering background, I'm assuming for the discussion that you are a chief engineer. So, you chief engineer, you need to first of all go for the qualifications for an auditor's course. ISO 14001, 45001, ISM auditor's course, etc., which you get from. I would recommend DNV, although I am not doing any endorsements, etc., but their content is good. So this is the first step. And then the second step, upskilling, is if whatever company you are working for, if they have a HSEQ department and you want to start working with them, you must be very well aware about the company SMS and procedures, in detail. There is no compromise on that, because if you are not aware or there is a gap there, sorry, you have not really met the eligibility criteria in principle, right? Because that is the core thing you would be doing. And apart from that, like we mentioned, regulatory compliance, regulatory awareness, keeping yourself abreast with the changing or new regulations which are coming up, existing ones as well. So that is how you. Apart from that, I would recommend reading a few books on management, whichever good book, and Google can help you with a lot of books, and for safety management. And the last thing I would mention, like Captain Amandeep said, that you have to start liking that job, and then whatever resonates with you personally. So that part, if it doesn't resonate, so no, sorry, you are not at the right place.
That's good. Captain Amandeep, your thoughts, please.
Gaurav, can I just recall the question in short?
Yeah, sure. So basically, people want to enter, right? Now, what courses, if at all, they have to do? Any skills that they have to bring in? How do they apply? To get into the HSEQ side of things. So that's question from of 2-3 people, and I've just summarized those questions.
Right. I think most of the part is covered in our panel, and Sandeep has touched again. So I will not go and touch those things again. But then entry level, yes, he has mentioned the courses which are required to be done. If you have started on an operational level, if you're on executive level, probably those courses also will not be required. And then the core soft skills which we have spoken, open to learn, continuous learning mindset, inclusive, tech savvy, adaptive, good communicative, and good writing skills. Here we are talking about the people getting involved with the mailing facility capability with the third party outside organization. So you have that. You should have that capability to write the mails in a proper fashion. So these skills are all soft skills. You cannot be taught. It need to be, understand. It comes reasonably with the people who have a good education background. So these are all there. One thing is for sure, and I maybe put a stamp on Sandeep feed, that even if you are a seafarer or a non-seafarer, when you join an HSEQ site, you have to really do a lot of background work of knowing the company's system, procedures, policies, even at executive level, to do the justice of the job what you are doing, and be more informed about the task you are undertaking. There is no substitute to it. Really speaking, there is no substitute to it. You are with the HSEQ department. You are handling some roles, some tasks which are related to your company fleet vessels, which are again governed by the company procedures, policies, checklist, other things. So one has to be knowledgeable about it, because somehow or the other, the actions you will take, the job you will do, will be always revolve around those. So that part is there, and another important part, and that is true for all the professions. It is not only the shipping or HSEQ. Is continuously upgrading your knowledge, skills. Probably will give you that edge to progress fast and have a good progression chart in your career. People become complacent and maybe satisfied staying in one position. I'm talking about the executive and a junior level. On a senior levels, people have that habit, but even we have seen on the junior level, this aspects get frozen after 3, 4, 5 years. I've seen it with my experience. So if that is happening, it is an alarming sign. One should look for it, try to upgrade the skill, discuss with the management. If you want to do something good within the organization, there is a good opportunity with standard companies which are available, which should be looked into. And bringing more value to the job you're doing and becoming more better asset for the company to and part of the growth is something which anyone at each level can look into. So one thing is to be clear in everybody's mind: as a ship manager, as a employee for a company, no one will hire you if your job is not required, if your role is not required. Nobody wants a cost to the company. So whosoever joins a organization in any department, HSEQ or technical, anywhere, is required by that organization. So your job is quite a valuable, which will be looked into. And if you enhance it with these skill pattern knowledge, is going to not only support you but to the company also. So this should be very much clear to all the employees coming and joining a department. So this is something to add on top of Sandeep. Otherwise, we have covered this very well during our panel.
Thanks, Captain Aman. So, just the courses one, what both of them said, Sandeep and Captain Aman, was on the internal auditor and similar courses. So, just for everyone to know, we are partnered to IRS, Indian Register of Shipping, in basically helping in supporting their marketing their courses. So, if anyone wants to do a course on auditor or any such courses, so if you let us know, we could also arrange those sessions with IRS as well. Vineet, do you have any thoughts on the progression? I'm sure you have, but are most of the points covered by Captain Aman or Sandeep, or anything additional which you would want to add?
Yeah, so for the seafarers, I suppose most of the points are covered, but for the non-seafarers or like people who are in support level, working in HSEQ, but are at support level. So there is also a probability and prevalent requirement of doing a NEBOSH certification courses, which is, you can say, a desired qualification in HSEQ department, not in shipping, but outside shipping. So when you go to shipbuilding, when you go to ship recycling, I've seen people not from marine background having NEBOSH certifications. These certifications can be at different levels, different certification levels, basic, advanced, and degree level. So depending on your aspirations and your say understanding, you can this kind of certification can also help you out in growing and not being limited to only shipping. I mean, why should we only limited to shipping only? When HSEQ is required all over in various fields, be it construction, be it development of ports, and shipbuilding, of course, is there. So that is something I think which we can add up to what Aman and Sandeep are already found.
Thank you. Thank you, Captain. So, Devendra, I am assuming your question is answered. Your question was on the chief engineer progression entry point. Um, if not, if you have any other, aspect to it, you may speak up. And then I'll go to Amrit's question, a very interesting one. And he's asked to both Captain Aman and Sandeep. It's for a ship management company which is opening a new setup. So he's asking, do we really need to have very big HSEQ manuals, or just the small thin ones are also okay? And how do you structure a HSEQ manual? What content should be inside it? So yeah, I think we're used to fairly big ones. Do you see there is a change coming in the way the manuals are currently presented? Is there a new way of doing things, and can they be summarized so that they can be absorbed quickly by the readers? Um, Captain Aman, first to you.
Yeah, thank you, Gaurav. I was reading through Amrit's question in the chat box. Uh, Copy paste of manual from other company. Amrit, sorry to say, there are copyright rules and infringement regulations applicable to our industry also. So that part is really not acceptable. You can take a clues, but you have to reformat your own company's SMS basis your own, policies and the ethics which company would like to follow. Uh, Having said that, starting a new management company, if you can develop the SMS on your own, this is your own procedure policies developed, or the management level people who are associated can give input, nothing like that. But at the same time, it's a specialized job, and quite a lot service provider in the industry are available to do this service for the needful companies. And it is very much available in industry. And the range of this service is also at a very broad spectrum, starting from the minimum structuring of a manual to a highly specialized informative manual. These are available. Now, to develop a SMS for HSEQ, we all know there are set regulations around which our procedure policies will revolve around, whether it is SOLA, SMART Pole, STCW, flag state, class requirements. This IMO guidance. These are all the regulatory compliances around which the company policies, procedures, checklists will revolve around. Standards to which SMS should be complying. As Sandeep has mentioned, there are various ISO standards, 9001 for quality, 14001 for environment, 31,000. The newest one is for the risk management. 45,000 one for the change of management or health, safety. Those kind of regulations are there. Then if you talk about the specialized vessels, whether it is tanker, bulk carriers, or you have a TMSA requirements, dry BMS requirements, RSQ requirements. So these are okay, ICS. So these are all going to govern you to develop a SMS around it. And ISM code itself give you a structure to develop a manual. You should have developed a policies for a company. That is the core part. Then the procedures, then the work instructions, then the checklist, those forms. So ISM code is giving you guidelines how you should structure your manual, each manual. So I can give these inputs. How bulky or concise a manual? Again, this is something which have evolved over the time. Earlier, we used to see a bulky manuals used to symbolize a good procedure, or maybe resonate to a very strong company procedures, which is not the case anymore. In fact, and this is all because of the generation. Let's be very reasonable. We are dealing with currently generation of Gen Z, Generation Z, or maybe in coming time, Alpha, Beta, whatever. I don't know the name of all the generations, but then these are the generations where we need to have a concise and precise information coming out in a some fashion which is more pictorial and bullet points and this kind of information. So I would recommend now the manual should be concise, step-based instructions. Focus on more on execution of a job rather than explanation of a job, because explanation part is given in the regulations, is given by the makers. It's more important the manual should be structured about the execution of a task. These are a few things of a good manual. And most important is you can structure a manual. The service provider can structure a manual for you. But the continuous improvement process, the review of a SMS, the feedback from the people who are using that manual on board a ship for day-to-day operations, their learning, their feedback is most important. And again, a review is quite essential, whether you do on a quarterly basis, half yearly, yearly. This is going to make the whatever SMS manuals you have adopted to be more robust and more helpful for your fleet vessels and the seafarers who are serving on board to implement it on board. So these are few inputs from me, from my experience and what we have seen it.
Thank you, Aman. So yeah, concise manuals are the need of the hour. Any thoughts from you, Sandeep, on the manuals part?
Yes. Hi, Amrit. Very good and interesting question from you. And I would like to really explain on the copy paste term, and also on the size or bulky or thin booklet, on two aspects. So first of all, the copy paste thing, Amrit, it is never a copy paste thing. The fact is, I will give you an analogy, okay, and a non-shipping analogy. You have a house, I have a house, okay. I go to your house. If I have to find something to eat, I will go to kitchen, and same thing will you do when you come to my house. So we are not copy pasting each other. You find chai patti or sugar or in kitchen only. You are not copy pasting me, neither am I copy pasting you. So if we are making a procedure for oily water separator, we are making a procedure for sludge pump running, bunkering procedures, the rules and regulations which are applicable are same. So, and you are ship management company A, I am ship management company B. Both of us have to attend and address all the regulations, all the aspects. So yes, we will be taking the same route or a similar route. So it is not a copy paste, but we are going to achieve the same thing. So we have to like follow most of it the same way, right? So I think this answers your copy paste thing. Coming to about the size, again with two things. One is increasing regulations every day. We are having left, right, center, new regulations, new requirements of the trade, new requirements of regulations, new requirement of specific regions, specific countries. So the size of, we need to have procedures to address those new changes that are happening. So the size of SMS will increase. 10 years back, we did not have a BWTS. There was no ballast water management convention in place. So we added, let us say, 20 pages for a ballast water management plan. If your 20 years back, we did not have something known as NPDES or VGP for US, right? Now we have it, so it will again increase. That has to be incorporated in my company's SMS. These are the things which are increasing the size, but while at the same time, we have to be wise to make it concise, keeping not compromising on the content, not compromising on the requirements it is required to meet. So it is our efficiency, it is our dedication, smartness, whatever word you want to use, to make it concise, to keep it concise, and not have any unnecessary things. And we were discussing in the panel question that how is technology helping us or impacting us, rather. The question was affecting. Technology is helping us to make the documents concise, not only the SMS. It with the availability of technology for a lot of aspects, we are able to address lot of things, and hence we are able to delete some of the aspects, some of the procedures, some of the checklists in our company procedures in SMS, thanks to technology. So whatever is obsolete, every company keeps on deleting or changing, making the changes accordingly. So it doesn't need to be a copy paste, and it never is. Like also Amandeep mentioned that our rules, we are also governed by copyrights and intellectual property rights, etc., where you have copyrights to be respected. And since we are meeting the same targets, so we will be following a similar path. If I have to go from place A to place B, from let us say from Dehradun to New Delhi, I will be taking, there will not be 30 routes, right? The most easiest, most convenient, most safe, all of us will take the same route, right? I rest my case. Thank you.
Thank you, Sandeep. Thank you. So I think both of you align on the same in the same way that it needs to be concise, and the copy paste wouldn't happen. So I don't see any more questions right now here. I think thank you so much, Captain Amandeep, Sandeep, Captain Vineet, for your time. It's a Saturday afternoon. We have taken away from your family time, not just for this webinar, but also the preparation for it. To all the participants who stayed here for close to almost 2.5 hours, it shows the kind of interest which you have. And I'm sure all of you, including me, we are going much more enlightened than what we were when we came in. So yeah, I think thank you so much everyone for being part of this webinar. I'll request all the panelists for their closing thoughts, and while I do that, I have a feedback question from to all the participants. If did you like the webinar? Were your expectations met? If you could answer that feedback question, and what else could have been done more importantly. And maybe closing comments from all three of you, starting with Sandeep, maybe you.
Yeah, thank you, Gaurav, and your entire team for having us here. Really humbled by your gesture by having us here, and glad we could contribute to the aspirants' questions and queries. And I hope we have done justice to it. And looking forward to more such in future. Thank you very much. And also, I wish all the best to all the aspirants or participants, audience. And it was really enlightening to listen from and enlightened listening to Amandeep and Vineet and you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Sandeep. Captain Aman, your closing comments.
Yeah, thank you, Gaurav. And I must congratulate all the attendees who have been patiently, be there for almost 2.5 hours. At one time, I've seen the participant peaked up to 85, and that maintained reasonably for an hour and a half. So congratulations to all who has rightly joined from 2:30 now till almost 5 with us. This is really heartening to see, especially for me being as a panelist, to see the inquisitive nature of all the attendees who have done this webinar. I would say that you must have taken a lot of takeaways from this webinar. So please give a thought after we end about the talk we had, how you resonate to it, basis your queries, and I believe by now have quite a reasonable clarity in your mind. So about HSEQ as a professional discipline to take and what lies ahead. As a closing note from my side, HSEQ is a bridge, between operational excellence and sustainable, responsible shipping. And whosoever is part of HSEQ should take it as a pride, because this is one domain in a shipping which do a lot of things at the background, not in the forefront. It's not a commercial team. It is not a chartering team, day-to-day visible out for the ship operations, but it is a real backbone of any shipping organization, management, operator, which makes your day-to-day processes more and more robust and foolproof. And again, always keeping an eye of a predictive assessment, what is coming up, and helps in avoiding the disruption to the processes flows. So again, as I said, it's a bridge between operational excellence and a sustainable shipping. Having said that, thank you very much. Have a great weekend ahead. Saturday evening, Sunday ahead. Thank you so much, and thanks, Gaurav.
Thank you so much for your time, Captain Aman. Captain Vineet, your closing remarks, please.
Yeah, thanks, Gaurav. I think the webinar went well, and I hope we could have added some value to knowledge base of people who attended, and they had much more clarity. And in case any follow-up is required, we are always available. We or our team at C and Beyond, so you can contact us, and if you want any specific questions to be answered, we are there to help in whatever field is required. glad to be part of this webinar. Thanks.
Thank you, Vineet, Sandeep, and Captain Aman. Shared the result of the feedback as well. I think we've either exceeded or met the expectation. The rating has been excellent to good. So with most of it being excellent. So I think great job to the panelists to keep people engaged and address their queries. I think this just inspires us at Sea and Beyond to do more such initiatives to help industry, grow, probably take well-informed decisions for the maritime professionals. And thank you all for attending and making this a success. We look forward to the next webinars in the next few days. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.